everybody. So apologies if I get a little bit tongue-tied. Hopefully you can all hear me and I'll try and speak as slowly as I can. So we are West Northants. We're just going to go through and do some quick introductions. So my name is Megan. I am a digital business analyst for West Northants Council in the digital team. So despite looking fresh out from school, I've actually been working for the council for the past 10 years now. I started my journey at 16. Started off as an apprentice, taking calls, dealing with customers face-to-face. I then went on to management information services. So I started managing the telephony system and all the reporting that goes into the background. For my sins, I then was a customer services team leader for a little bit, supporting the repairs department, and I finally moved on to my love, which is digital, and combining that love for supporting the customers in their journey and bringing tech into it. So I'll now pass over to Andy.
I'm Andy Boatwright. I've been with the council now, former sovereign NBC Council, Northamptonshire Council. I started back in the heady heights of 2007 with the Revenues and the Benefits Department, and then moved into the digital team to become one of the core digital services officers, which we were responsible for delivering the following, which we're about to show you.
So, this is just a quick introduction of who we are. So, formerly, we actually worked, both myself and Andy, for the Northampton Borough Council, but we formed as a new unitary council back in April 2021. So, it's been a very, very busy couple of years for us. So, that also includes our South Northants, our Daventry, and half of our county council services team. And this was in conjunction with our sister authority, North Northamptonshire. And we've been very busy supporting them with their digital technology as well and supporting them to see where we can go. We've had a very long-standing partnership with Jadu. I believe it's been over a decade, I want to say nearly now, that we've been working with Jadu, and they are now our leading CXM system, which is brilliant. And we're going to show you just some of the couple of bits that we've been doing over the past couple of years, such as integrations across these new unitary authorities. Here at Digital, we're sort of the engine of the delivery that empowers councils and its residents to do things more, for quicker, for less. And hopefully we'll be able to show you some of the really cool things that we've started doing here. So without further ado, we'll get started. So for those of you that joined us last year, you may notice our lovely friend Norbert. So Norbert is our mail automation bot. That was a proof of concept that we started back in 2019, and it was sort of screwed on the back of a fag packet type of concept. And within 9 months, we actually managed to create a proof of concept in our former sovereign authority. And what this essentially does is triages inquiries for all of our emails, but also enables our agents to manage emails directly from our CXM system, so they're not having to deal with Outlook, etc. But also we've got him to answer frequently asked questions as well, and provide suggested answers to our agents. So we've actually managed to cut average handle time by about half. It was about 8 minutes, between 8 and 10 minutes it used to take our agents to deal with queries, and we've reduced that to about 4.5 minutes now, which is really exciting. This is just the very, very start of what we're doing with Norbert. So the future of where we're wanting to take him. So at the moment we are using a Q&A database powered by Microsoft Azure. Although it's a brilliant bit of kit, we want to be able to put in some self-learning and also increase that confidence threshold of when Norbert knows an answer to a customer's question, that he can automatically respond to them. So over the next 12 months, we're going to be looking at actually moving that Q&A database over to Amazon's Kendra, where we can hopefully improve him even more. I'm going to pass you over to Andy now, who's going to, for the tech lovers out there, just quickly, briefly go over how Norbert works and what he does. So,
Thank you. Right, so I'll try and go through this in a relatively non-technical way, but for technically enough for everybody that's technically minded, if that makes sense. So the basic principle is that an incoming email will arrive from a customer. We've also integrated it into our Contact Us form, which is built on the Granicus platform, so FirmStep, for those of you that might be aware of it. And leveraging the Amazon Simple email service, what we do is we pass the email into an S3 bucket, and then it's forwarded onto a series of Lambda functions, which are the actual beating heart of the system, if you like. And what those functions do is they deconstruct the email, pull apart the basic HTML and break it into the relative components that we need to use. We monitor all of the steps along the process using the step functions and CloudWatch, which are built within the AWS stack, which is what we've leveraged, as you can see, for the whole of this process. Effectively, what happens is that Dynamo stores the relevant information that we need for sovereign locations, email routing, all the relevant information for that. The body text is broken apart, and we look for the location that the customer is indicating as part of their form. So if the customer lives at 1 The High Street in a particular location, Lex will then go off and basically look for the relevant information from the customer. So if the customer asks for things like, when is my bin collection, Lex holds all the relevant utterances and responses for that. We then pass it back to Azure's Q&A maker, where the actual responses for those questions are held. What happens then is that all of this data is passed back through to CXM. So CXM will record all the relevant information, so the entire process is auditable from each step. If the confidence level is 80% or higher, the bot will respond automatically. So it will basically come back with the response, send it directly to the customer, and closes the case. The idea being that if it's a relatively quick, easy FAQ function that we can handle, nobody needs to touch it. It can just be closed automatically. If the confidence level is between 50 and 80%, it will flag what it thinks is the possible response. It then gets parked in a state where a member of staff can go and check it to make sure that that information is correct. If the response isn't correct or is not fully correct, what will happen then is the staff member can go in and make changes to that relevant response and then forward it back onto to the customer. If it's for a different sovereign authority, the routing process that's in place is that it will go to a centralized hub. It will then check for the sovereign location. If it's a back office service and not customer services handled process, it will then look on the Dynamo table and basically pick up what service area it needs to go to, what the email address is, and then it's passed through directly to that back office service for them to handle directly, and again, the case is closed. The reason we picked Azure is basically for future-proofing the service. Lex, although it's perfect for what we needed, it was a little bit too technical for our customer services staff to handle. So we decided to go down the Azure route to make it easier for them, for it to be handled within customer services, to be updated, etc. The other thing that we looked at recently was our waste and recycling integrations. When we came together as an authority, we had 3 different councils, 3 CRMs, 3 e-forms, 3 sets of integrations, and 3 different back office systems. The decision was made at cabinet level last year that we were going to integrate that service, so there was going to be one charge across all of the sovereign authorities, and what we needed to do was come up with a service that enabled us to process that and still be handled by the back offices, the legacy back offices that were still in place. So the solution was basically to provide a single process for all 3 councils, 1 council notification, 1 CRM, 1 e-form, and 1 integration that goes into the 3 back office systems. I do apologise for the next slide because it's going to look a little bit technical. You probably can't see that very well, but I will try and talk through it as quickly as possible for you to make it hopefully make sense. So the front end e-form captures the information from the customer, the name, the address, takes the payment, and then it's passed through the simple queuing system, which is queued up for the internal CXM workflow system using the Amazon API gateway, and then it's passed back to a series of parallel Lambda functions. At this point, where at the bottom, it will go through Amazon's API gateway, it goes to a separate Lambda function which establishes the location. So that information is stored within Amazon's relational database system at the bottom, which it stores the UPRNs of the various sovereign locations, and the Dynamo table holds the sovereign information for those locations. So the process will pass through Lambda. It will then check where the customer lives, what sovereign it is that handles that particular process, and then it will pass that information back to the main bunch of Lambda functions in the middle there. That will then fire off to a separate series of functions which are held within Elastic Beanstalk, which then processes that information back through to the SOAP services, or simple object access protocol. I apologise for that. I can never remember what the acronym stands for the various 3 different systems. And as you can see there, we've got our waste provider, Veolia, and we've got 2 separate Bartek instances. So what happens in that instance is that the stacked Lambda functions within the middle, they handle parallel processing. The reason behind that is that we wanted to use a first in, first out system to avoid timeout issues. If all the data was thrown through the system at once, we didn't want it to get bottlenecked and jammed and then cause a problem for the whole process. Doing it as parallel processing allows us to, for example, where we handle label printing, transfer to the back office systems, notification that goes to gov.notify in order to send written notification to the customer of the subscription agreement that they've agreed to. Any of those single steps that fail, it doesn't derail the entire process. It allows us then to troubleshoot that one process that caused the problem, whether it be with the label printing, whether it be with the payment option, but it still allows CXM to be updated and a full auditable trail to be made available so that if any questions are asked by the customer, we can zoom in on what that particular error area is and resolve that without derailing the entire process. We are available for further questions later on if you want to ask about them. So obviously it's a lot to take in one go, but if you do want to come and chat to us in a minute or afterwards, feel free to do so. What we're going to do now is I'm going to hand back over to Megan so we can talk about the sort of thing that we're looking at doing in the future to take this and the other functionality forward.
Thank you. So the future. So at the moment, I don't want to say we're doing the boring stuff, but we are. At the moment, we're in the process of harmonising all of our sovereigns to come into the one CXM system. We've got our South Northants team who are currently on Jadu at the moment, and Jadu are supporting us with bringing all of that over into one. And I've got the joys of bringing Daventry over. There's lots of integrations that we need to be doing. So we're going to be very, very busy for up until sort of April 2023. But after that, we get onto the fun stuff. And that's chatbot and voice. So as I've sort of briefly spoke to you about Mailbot, and I can talk to you about Mailbot for hours. So please come and talk to me if you want to sort of see him in action. But one pretty awesome thing about this technology is that you can create it once and you can deploy it infinitely. So we're talking about getting this on SMS, smart speakers, which we actually recently done a bit of a proof of concept for, mobile apps, virtual hosts, coming into our one-stop shop and being able to ask almost a virtual host directions or whatever's needed, and social media as well, so thinking about Facebook, that sort of stuff. Just to confirm, we're not wanting to get rid of jobs because of this, but it's going to help us focus more on those customers that need that human touch and need that extra time, because we're just so busy, we don't have the time, and so it's very, very exciting to see where we're going. Andy's actually may be able to show us a bit of a demonstration on a chatbot where we've managed to be able to get him to hand, if Norbert's not able to deal with a query, he can hand it off to an agent using Amazon Connect. So we've got some really, really cool stuff going on in the background, and we can't wait to hopefully share it with you over the next sort of couple of years. So that is the end of us. So thank you very much. And if you have any questions, and I think we've got some QR codes up here if you want to just have a look at some of the bits that we've done before. Here at the Academy, there was also the Art of the Possible that was done that's gone over sort of the Lex integrations, etc. So thank you.
Thank you very much.